Hello, my name is Ali, and welcome to my channel. We are back with Caller X Malice, Okazaki's route. Let's go. Then we should split up. I'll ask Moshida and Seiki to help. Even if you can't tell them everything, they should understand that it's an emergency if you can get the urgency across. Oh wait, wrong voice. What about the location of the crime? If the target point is along a patrol route, then there are too many to narrow down. Oh, I think we'll be okay on that part. Eh? How so? I've had Yoshinari tailing Sanjo since our meeting yesterday. Oh. Sanjo won't be able to slip him. Since when? I was impressed by Okazaki's preparedness. Though, if Sanjo had relocated after we left, when it wouldn't be possible to track him, which meant that Okazaki had already called Yoshinari when we were at the building. Based on what I saw yesterday, Sanjo's seen his fair share of action, and he looked like he could handle himself. But actually, Yoshinari is way stronger, faster, and braver than he looks, so don't worry about him. Really? Yep. Anyone else would have died a dozen of times by now. I really don't want to know. It made sense since Yoshinari was an SP officer, but I wouldn't expect it from his demeanor. You probably thought that Yoshinari's the type to trip over himself and let his target get away, didn't you? No, I wouldn't go that far. And a flower pot would totally drop on his head out of nowhere. Yep, that fits. I hope not. He'd die. But actually, he'd completely dodge it. Surprising, right? For some reason, Okazaki painted a very comically competent image of Yoshinari. So, the chances of Sanjo being a red herring meant to distract us while someone else commits the crime are almost zero. Okazaki answered confidently. I think it's very likely that he'll do the job himself. His hatred of cops who twisted justice is deep. He wouldn't leave this to anyone else. Agreed. I think he'll do it himself too. Besides, he said this was a contest, so it's only natural that he'd take part. I nodded in firm agreement. It was a near certainty that Sanjo would take part in the crime. I'd sensed that he was acting based on his own personal code, and that he had suffered a terrible tragedy in his past. I didn't think he'd stray from his convictions. But there may be multiple scattered attacks. We should narrow down the possible locations to areas along the target's patrol routes with a connection to past countdown crimes. Why don't you leave that to Yanagi's team? Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So, you've made up with Yanagi? That's boring. Actually, I think it's really exciting that I'm friends with everyone now. Except me, right? Maybe so. You're still kinda hard to deal with. I've never intended to be friendly. I really have no concept of what you mean when you say friends. Yeah, that's too bad. Sorry. I'm so appreciative. I think I might cry. There's no need to apologize. They were smiling. The barbs that Okazaki and Shiraishi were trading didn't match the wide grins on their faces. This is scary. The chill that ran down my back was so bad that I couldn't even hear what they were saying. So why don't we all get to work? I interrupted their chat out of desperation. They simultaneously turned to me and nodded. Okay, don't worry. I'll be sure to stop this. I'm interested in the outcome of this game, so I'll help however I can. Thank you. The plan was set. Once we decided our individual orders, I contacted our allies. Then the operation would begin once we'd heard from Yoshinari. I gotta sneeze. Please don't sneeze. Anyway. Yoshinari told us that Sanjo was making his way towards Shinjuku Garden, so Okazaki started to head there too. Yoshinari and Mashida would be standing by outside the park just in case anything happened. Currently, no civilians were allowed inside Shinjuku Garden. It had been made off limits ever since it was used as the site of the X-Day murders that happened in August. Ever since that point, it had been added to the list of patrol routes of officers that worked in police boxes. There has to be a reason why they picked this place. Yes, I think so too. This was the center of the August incident. And one night, it had been the place where I was collared. Normally, I wouldn't think that they'd choose this place as a crime scene. It's easy to discover. But Shiraishi said that the criminal's behavior suggests that they'd come here. If Sanjo picks this place, maybe he just wants to see everything burn. He came here specifically because he knew that the police would know? Part of a theatrical performance is choosing a stage that has symbolism, I guess. I think it's proof he's serious about not running. We talked, waiting for the appointed time. There were only a few minutes left until the target officer was set to arrive. Oh, here he is. Well, well. Nice work. When Sanjo showed up with an uncannily casual attitude, Okazaki moved in front to protect me from anything. You're here, which means that you must have narrowed the targets down. Not bad. You gave us a lot of hints. Your target was supposed to pass through here, wasn't he? Yeah, that's right. He's the lowest of the low. I think I changed his voice, but oh well. Kakeru Shiomi, 25 years old. Formerly on police box duty in another jurisdiction and suspected of sexual assault. He was supposedly a repeat offender. Numerous criminal complaints were filed, but he was never formally charged for any of them. Is that right? Yup. He's the kid of some bigwig. I cannot say that word for some reason. So everything he did was all covered up. They just transferred him instead. The transfer to Tokyo is more like a promotion, a reward for his distinguished service. Normally, you'd be convicted or fired. Actually, he might have even been targeted by a revenge hit. Instead, he wasn't discouraged. He just accused his victims of making false charges against him. A bastard like him deserves judgment. Sanjo's temper was calm, but I could hear the contempt in his words. I stood my ground and watched him, refusing to let myself be intimidated. You had other candidates for judgment as well, but you decided to target the officer who patrols this area. Oh, so you figured that out too. You're a sharp kid. Or maybe one of your profilers psychoanalyzed me. Both. Why did you pick this place? For its connection to the August homicides? What about the connection to you? Yes, there is one. However, even if you picked this place so you could grandstand, Adonis does have a taste for the theatrical, but it doesn't bite off more than it can chew. They always move with a purpose. Now, this is a surprise. So, there are still a few cops with some metal. You're right. I picked this place for a good reason. And what reason is that? I was the perp in August. Oh, what did you just say? Makes sense, doesn't it? You've probably figured out that the monthly countdowns were all substitution murders. So, I let someone else carry out my revenge, and I got saddled with fulfilling someone else's need for revenge. The August murders. Players of an online video game had been shot and killed in a series of murders. This event had the highest death toll next to the June incident. The shootings spanned several days, producing numerous victims, but the killer was never caught. Public trust in the police took a nosedive. This incident led to the repeal of the Swords and Firearms Control Law in Shinjuku. It was all you? You shot them all in the head.
That's right. I did it.
Even if this was revenge for someone, how could you kill so many people you had no issue with?
Ha, girl. You just don't understand. You seem to have gotten the wrong idea about me. Did you empathize with me, thinking that I work off on some kind of personal code? Well, Adonis does follow its own idea of justice, so maybe that's true. But murder is murder. No matter how grand or noble the reason, there are no excuses for what I've done.
My God, his accent has changed to I think 2 different accents, maybe 3. I don't know. Whatever. Sanjo's matter-of-fact words sounded like they were coming from a police officer. But he wasn't one. That meant...
I won't deny that I'm a murderer. Unlike Adonis, I won't try to justify it.
Shiraishi was right. To both the police and Adonis, I'd say you're indifferent to the entire world.
Yeah, I think you feel the same way.
What does he mean?
In August, I killed 15 people. The weight of those 15 dead is far heavier than the wounds I suffered in the past. I don't expect to be forgiven for what I've done.
If you know that, then why...
But who decides the weight of a life? When one is punished for a heinous crime, and money changes hands, does it satisfy the bereaved? By law, I'd certainly deserve the death penalty, but I'm not afraid of death. In fact, death would be a victory.
What? Are you serious? Sanjo's flippantness, wow, that's hard to say, made me quiver with rage. I'd started to take an unconscious step towards him when Okazaki blocked me with an arm.
Sanjo, you suffered in your past, so you wanted to get revenge. I know your pain. I know the inconsolable suffering of being in the police. Can you truly say that you've won by making the friends and family of the people you've killed taste that same unfairness? That's why I did it. It's unfair, isn't it? It's the law of the world. I can't forgive it. I've lost faith in the world.
That can't be.
Cyberbullying drove the August killings. People violate the human dignity of others because they're anonymous behind a screen. Are the internet addicts really in the wrong? But the internet isn't some imaginary world. Actions there still have real-world consequences. Trolls forget that and harass celebs out of envy. They spread lies and people they don't like. They do whatever they want.
That is so true even now. Wow.
There's no controlling what goes on in the vast internet. And in pockets of the net, there are places where people do anything but foster hate. It's all meaningless fun to them. They sleep well, ignoring the crimes' weight. And they wake to repeat it again. Victory goes to the swift. Isn't that right? A world that always is undoubtedly sick.
What I learned by listening to Sanjo was his distrust for society. No, for humanity. And I could tell that at one time, he had been a very honorable man.
So you took revenge for the people you were hurt. You killed that many people because they sympathized with the online bullies? Sympathized? I wasn't that half-assed about it. First off, I only executed the August incident. I never interacted with the guy who requested it.
What do you mean? You never contacted the person you committed the substitute murder for?
Sanjo and the others probably have someone at Adonis directing their actions. We're basically pawns. We just do what the higher-ups say. In exchange, they promise to make our wishes come true. You wished for the death of Todoroki? No.
For a moment, Sanjo was silent. His expression was a mix of pain and recollection, as if he was reliving the past.
Destruction.
But when he looked up again, his eyes were devoid of any human warmth. His lack of hope mirrored his choice of words. He wanted to destroy it all, so he joined Adonis. There was no anger or sadness there. They were eyes that reflected the abyss.
In a way, you're the model terrorist. You're Okazaki from the SP. You want to die, don't you? Like me? Your eyes say you're searching for a place to die.
Okazaki is... He couldn't hide his shock. To think that Okazaki could be just like Sanjo, who only wanted destruction. There was no reason to believe that.
How did you know my name? I looked you up. I'm sure you did likewise. So, you were listening through the collar. No, maybe you're taking orders from the person who's in control of the collar? Maybe.
Sanjo smiled boldly. From what Okazaki had said, I wondered if Sanjo was the person behind the collar, but that probably wasn't the case. The person behind the collar wasn't the type to risk being exposed. Which meant that Sanjo had been told about information that the collar had picked up. I understand what you're trying to say, and that you aren't afraid of capture or death. As a police officer, I have to arrest you, but there's something I want you to tell me.
What?
I won your contest, right? I stopped tonight's murder, so I'd like you to keep your end of the bargain.
Huh? After all of this, you still don't get it? Nothing I can tell you would be of any value. You'd just be disgusted if I told you everything Toroloki's done, and even if you publicized it, it's not like he could be punished.
Still, I need to know. As a police officer, I can't ignore this. There's a blight within the police, and there are people who have been hurt by it. That's all the more reason not to bury it.
I doubt a beat cop like you is going to affect any sort of change.
I know that. This is just for my own satisfaction. I still want to hear it from you.
Girl, you won't enjoy it. I also don't want to anger the boss. No, yeah. He might actually want you to hear this as a way of testing you.
I thought I heard Sanjo whispering something when he quietly moved his arm. Sanjo drew a gun from his holster. An instant later, Okazaki had also drawn his pistol. Nice. He then methodically adjusted his positioning to completely shield me from Sanjo's view with his own body. Okazaki.
It's okay. Don't worry. He looks so badass. Nice reflexes. I'd be sorry to kill you. I wouldn't mind having a shootout here, but thanks to you two, things have gotten fun.
Before I could process what he was saying... Okazaki! I heard a gunshot, and I dove to the ground. I think I made the sounds really quiet, which is better than the really loud, so I do apologize if you didn't hear the gunshots.
It was a warning shot. He wasn't aiming for us. Sorry, I didn't think he'd deliberately miss, and I was slow to pursue him. He got away.
Peering out from behind Okazaki, I saw that Sanjo had disappeared. Please don't apologize. Let's follow him.
You should stand by outside. We don't know what Sanjo will do next.
I'm going to let you guys go here. I hope you are enjoying, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!